Good afternoon, and why not say good evening to all of us here tonight. Once more connected with this amazing moment at the Spiritist Society of Baltimore, streaming live here with us through Facebook as well as YouTube. We welcome everyone who's watching us now and whoever will be watching us in the future as well. This afternoon into this evening, we'll have Yasco Aracava talking about nourishing our living faith, a spiritist tool in times of turmoil. Before we pass the word to Yasco, we would like to, as usual, acclimate ourselves with this amazing moment with our mentors, the mentors of the SSB, in our homes to read a passage of the book Happy Life. I will be reading chapter 9 of this amazing book, which is brought by the spirit Joana de Angelis through the hands of the medium Divaldo Pereira Franco, when she says, keep emotional control under all circumstances. An abundant nervous system means an unbalanced nervous system means an unbalanced life. If difficulties threatens your balance, utilize prayer. Prayer is effective medicine for all the illnesses of the soul. On this note, we would like to invite everyone to pray and let us raise our vibrations to our dear Creator. And we ask our dear Father, Mother God to help us in this moment that we're going through, this moment that we have seen the difficulties of the world, the difficulties of our lives, and connect, rejoice in this ideal of faith on how we can better our lives and how we can enhance the lives of others. We ask you, dear Lord, that you guide our minds and our hearts throughout this talk tonight, as if it was a treatment for each one of us, a way for us to regenerate our minds, our hearts, our physical bodies, our perispirit. And why not send this good vibration that we will be receiving to our brothers and sisters who are in need, who are going through troubled times as well. Those who have been affected by the pandemic in a more serious way, those who are connected somehow with these individuals, those who have passed to the other side, all of those who may be in need tonight. Let us connect so we can send these good vibrations. And we ask also that you guide the mind and heart of our dear friend Yasco Aracava, who will be speaking and bringing the enlightenment of this evening. We thank you for this amazing opportunity, for being together once more, and so be it. So, as we were saying at the beginning, tonight Yasco will be speaking about nourishing our living faith, a spiritist tool in times of turmoil, the last message of this amazing month of January of 2021. Yasco, please.
Hi, hello everyone. Good evening, good afternoon. It's so good to be with you. I would like to I don't know how to share. Okay. Shall I press? Can you see something? Yes. I don't think. Yeah.
Yes, we're good, Yasco. Now the way you
You're
had
good?
it,
You're good?
the way you had it was
okay,
fine.
okay.
The other way.
Oops. Let me see. Oh, why I'm not seeing well now. PowerPoint.
Yeah, so you need to maximize in the corner
I
up.
maximize.
No, in the corner. Yes, yes. Perfect.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. Okay. So the title is Nourishing Our Living Faith. So why is this living faith? I end up with this chapter of Emmanuel, and the first sentence says, the tree of living faith does not grow in the heart miraculously. So especially the society that are Christian or Christian Judaic based, the faith is pretty much related to religion. Uh, Religion put a lot of how to say definitions around faith that we tend to think either you have faith, you don't have faith. It's not a construction. It's not a process. We think, well, if I pray, my faith will come. I will feel better. No, that is not exactly what Emmanuel says. So in this book that is not yet in English, it's called Vine of Light, Vinha de Luz. In chapter 40 is the chapter called Faith, and says, as I said, the tree of living faith does not grow in the heart miraculously. So Emmanuel says, as in ordinary life, ordinary means common life, all the type of life, all the assets, the Creator gives everything. But, there is a but, it counts on each creature's effort. So either you are a little plant, you are a little seed, you have to make your own effort. It's provided the means, but I have to go and dig out. Any useful plant calls for special attention in development. So you want to develop, you want to progress, it needs to put attention and effort. It is essential to provide protection, aid, and defense to the plant in this case, so that the precious plant reaches its intended purpose. The purpose is to grow the seed, to get out from the soil and blossom. So he compares to our faith. The conquest of edifying belief is not a service of small effort. That means you have to work hard. Most people assume that faith is a miraculous halo donated to some spirit privileged by divine favor. So the priest, the religious person, Mother Teresa, whatever, oh, they probably were privileged. No, no, no. You see, who think this way, he says, this is, however, a mistake with regrettable consequences. Why the regrettable consequence? Because if I think I was not privileged for some reason, but Mother Teresa was, so for what I'm going to work for? But later, when I discovered that I had the same chances as Mother Teresa to have faith and keep going, keep working, I will regret. The sublime virtue is the construction of the inner world. It is not possible to construct it when excessive terrestrial anxieties, inferior mistakes, and ambitions torture the intimate field. In the same way, worms, malefactors attacking the work. So the same way the fungi, the worms attack the little seed, attack the plant that wants to blossom. What is the parallel of these bad things, malefactors, for our construction of our faith? Will be anxiety, inferior thinking, mistakes, ambitions that will prevent for my faith to blossom. That's what is the parallel. No one can therefore fully transfer the vibration of faith to the spirit of others because indeed, this is a task that belongs to each one. So if the mother sees that the son or daughter has the faith or doesn't have the faith, you want to transfer, that's not possible. She can give some counsel, but she actually cannot give her faith to the offspring or to the siblings, because each one has to conquer doing the inner transformation. So being raised a little Buddhist, not so, good, but at least I have some seeds there. Buddhism, on the contrary to the Christianity, Judaic Christianity's beliefs, is different because the Western, the Christianity has a lot of religion context there. So the church, the religion was very strong and put a lot of pressure the way they want the parishioners to see or follow the faith or accept the faith without even thinking. But because Buddhism is not a clear religion, there is no clear God. And it's a philosophy, but it is not this Greek type of philosophy, more of abstract. No, it's a way of life philosophy. All the teachings from Buddha is for us to get better in experience and going through all the things that comes to our life in this incarnation. It is religion in a way because although it doesn't have God clearly, but it believes in reincarnation, believes in karma, law of cause and effect. That in this sense is a religion. But there is no big, like we in the Western Christian today think as a religion. So it's easier to teach actually faith because people will accept better the Buddhist point of view because there is no religious imposition. If some Christian priest or Christian teacher go there, I'm going to talk about faith. Some audience, part of audience will say, I'm not interested because you're going to now try to impose your religion. So in this way, it's easier to put the Buddhist point of view of issue like faith because there is no clear religious connotation or imposition. So what faith it is in Buddhism? You say sadhan, which in Pali language, where the language that is Buddhism is written, signifies, means to give our hearts over to. Faith is to give my heart over to, or to place my heart upon something. That means some effort, some thinking, some reflection upon where I'm going to put my heart. So faith in Buddhism can manifest in different situations as trust, inspiration. When I am inspired, I hear something interesting, I'm inspired, something happened to my life, I'm inspired to trust or to go after. Confidence, I feel confidence because I'm getting it, I believe in it. Patience, give patience to, courage and relaxation. So all these sensations and emotions is one or two or three of them underneath what we call faith. Depends on the experience that we're going through. So faith in Buddhism, like saying here, is dependent on experience and reasoning. It looks like Spiritism, right? Reasoning. Not unexperienced hopes or wishful thinking. So Buddhists don't pray, say, well, I don't know how, but please, try to give me faith so I feel better. No, it has to experience and use the reasoning. So Buddha says these stories. If it is experience, that means I learned from people that came before me, like my parents, my grandparents, my teachers, and then I passed to my siblings or old siblings, then I passed to the young siblings, to the babies, etc. So Buddha says about this story. A herd of cows arrives at the bank of a wide stream. The mature ones see the stream and simply wade across it. Those represent the fully enlightened beings who have crossed the stream of ignorance and suffering. Why they were so certain, they were confident? Because they had previous experience. They were not any longer completely ignorant. That was not the first time. They already experienced some difficult, but they know they would overcome. So this is wisdom. The younger cows, less mature in their wisdom, stumble apprehensively around the shore, but eventually they go forward and cross the stream. Why? Because they saw the first one, the more confident, the more mature one going ahead. Well, if they could go, I can go too. It's a reasoning from the experience of others. Last come the calves, the little ones, trembling with fear, some just learning how to stand. But these vulnerable, tender calves also get to the other side, the Buddha said. They cross the stream simply by following their mother's voice. The calves trust their mothers, and anticipating the safety of renewal, they follow their voice and cross the stream. So there is a call for us. We are not abandoned. If we pay attention, there is a call. Come, I'm here. I'm here. Look, it's safe. And because it's better to follow that tender voice of the mother, of the older one, the ones that came before us, we go. We instead stay stuck behind. So that Buddha said is the power of faith. So experience and reasoning. So Buddhism also says you're gonna see it's like Spiritism, evolution in the quality of faith according to Buddhism. There is a gradual evolution, like a deepening the wisdom. It's a wisdom. That is a process that we should construct through the experience, gaining experience, overcoming the difficulties. So there is a first thing, is the bright faith. It's a sense of being able to draw near, to open up, to be inspired by someone who is very impressive to us. Well, we all have this kind of experience when we go to a talk, when we heard something, we get so excited, this bright, oh my God, I heard something that I never saw. Now my mind is open up, and it's all too much enthusiasm. That's what Buddha says. Why it can be powerful and important is an important phase, because if you don't even get this desire to listen to this inspiration, you don't have chance. But if you went nearby, got to listen. But he says it is powerful, important, but it's not reliable, because as we find ourselves just zigzagging back and forth between different masters or source of inspiration, we were not so centered within our own experience. So today I hear this, tomorrow I hear another thing, so I change my mind, but I don't go reflect and deepen what I heard about. and see which one is better for me to go. It's okay, tomorrow I can change, but let me see if I can think more carefully. That is what is called verified faith. In order to deepen our faith, we have to be able to try things out, to wonder, to doubt, to check. So if you don't have this thinking, reflection, to wonder about, is it true? Is not true? Is it good? Is not good for me? It makes sense? Doesn't make sense. This doubt is very positive. But I have not just to say in this doubt. I have to check, try to see more. Then we pass. Once we check, we experience. Now it comes this unshakable faith. We know from our own experience that this is how things are. In my point of view, it's possible that my neighbor won't think the same way. But for me, I'm very content, I'm very confident because I tried on, I checked. We have a more complete faith in the truth of our own vision, not others. I'm not seeing through other people's vision, point of view. Our own perception of the truth. I have to have my own truth, perception, vision of my truth. From that point on, there is no turning back because now I experience, I reflect upon, I see it works for me. The opposite of faith, as in the traditional Buddhist teaching, is doubt. Doubt. There is a kind of doubt that is very positive, that moves us to investigate the truth. That we say we have to doubt, otherwise we won't check. We have to doubt, but we have to move on. We cannot just say, oh, I don't trust, that's it. No, that is not productive. So there is a kind of doubt that is very positive that moves us to investigate the truth. There is another aspect of doubt that is far less helpful, namely endless speculation. There are people that keep speculating the whole life. One says this is opposition, the other says that is that, but don't go through their own experience. We have to go through our own experience. So faith according to Spiritism. In the chapter 19 of the Gospel according to Spiritism, faith transports mountains. And the Lord said, if you had faith like a mustard seed, that tiny seed, you would say to this mulberry tree, which is huge, be uprooted and be planted in the sea, and it would obey you. Luke 17:6. So, in that chapter, in the section called the power of faith, what is the mountain? It's not that we're gonna get the whole mountain moved to another place. No. What are the mountains? The mountains are the prejudices, routines that are not so leading to anything, materialistic interests, selfishness, the blindness of fanaticism, and the prideful passions are the few, the more of the mountains which are the obstacles in the way to those who work for human progress. So if I want to progress, I have to have faith. I have to go after this. I have to be confident. So these obstacles are all this that, I give some excuse. Oh, not today, tomorrow, perhaps when I get retired, etc., etc. Robust faith gives perseverance. Look how good it is to have a robust faith. Gives perseverance, energy, and resource which enables us to overcome these obstacles, be they large or small. Now, if I believe that I can get it, I will overcome, I will let aside the prejudice, the materialism, the selfishness, etc., etc. Vacillating faith, on the other hand, feels its own weakness, giving room to this obstacle. If I vacillate, those interests take over. Ah, no, perhaps not. And then, oh, I have better things to do. You know, calmness during the struggle is always a sign of strength and confidence. It's faith. So, according to Buddhism, faith is confidence, is strength, whereas violence denotes weakness and self-doubt. Once you have this, we make room for this obstacle, and we never build a robust faith that gives me perseverance, way to move forward in times of struggle. And when the sea is calm, no problem. But when comes the big storm is where we, like in our time now, is where the robust faith keep us persevering because tomorrow I will get the resource to keep going. The power of faith has a magnetic action on the fluid. So actually magnetism is the tool, is the way how faith manipulates, is through magnetism. So the magnetic action on the fluid, an universal agent, universal cosmic fluid, modifying its qualities and giving it an irresistible impulsion that, when directed towards goodness, operate those singular phenomena of healing and others occurrence known in older time as miracles, but which are nothing more than consequence of law of nature. Today, as we know, magnetism since the time of Kardec, we know other ways to manipulate, all the rays, all the different kind of subatomic, also particles, the wonder that they make, although we don't see sometimes those, some are not detected, only mathematically, but we know it's there. Gravity is there because it bends something, the format, etc. This is the reason for Jesus saying to his apostle that if they did not cure, it was because they had no faith. So some of these sick people say, why your apostle could not remove this, or I don't know how they call it. They didn't call obsessor, but these demons. They said because they didn't have enough faith to remove them. So faith, the cure, the healing is that say, oh, that faith heal that person is through this manipulation, fine manipulation through the magnetic action of the manipulation of the fluid, and it's not anything of miracle. Blind versus rational faith. So we go, you see, it goes more or less parallel what Buddha 3,000 years ago said too. Blind faith. Kardec calls blind faith. They call bright faith. Go back and forth, and it's all excited. He calls blind faith. Examines nothing and accepts without verification both truth or falsehood, and that each step clashes with evidence and reason. Taken to this extreme, it produces fanaticism. So if you don't verify, one comes, you get so impressed with that person, with that speaker, with that pastor, with that religious person, with this professor. Well, if you don't examine his point of view, you don't know what are the how to say, the reason behind that person to think like that. It can be even false. It can be even fake. He wants to gain some materialistic thing from somewhere. So you don't know. I have to check myself. If I don't check, look at that. Either I stay lost, then tomorrow comes another person, or I go to fanaticism. Faith needs a base of thinking, one that gives complete understanding of what we are asked to accept. Someone said, well, you should accept this. No, I have to think about it. Let me see if I can understand rationally. In order to believe, it is not enough to see. Above all else, it is necessary to understand. That's why we are in this phase of human evolution that we can use our reasoning. Rationalized faith, when based in fact and logic, leaves no doubts. Then the person believes because they are certain. They are already checked, and no one can be certain unless they understand. This is why unshakable faith is that which can stand face to face with reasoning in all epochs of humanity. That's what Kardec said. Spiritism. Interesting. Faith cannot be prescribed. It cannot be imposed, like it also was said before. It cannot be passed to the other. It can only be acquired, and there is no one who is prevented from possessing it, even amongst those who are most refractory. Today, I don't want to think about, but tomorrow something happens in my life. I can go back and try my own, construct my own faith. The proof is all around them, so why do they refuse to see? We always ask, well, it's obvious that it's there. Indifference, fear of being forced to change their habits, but mostly pride, which refuse to recognize the existence of a superior force because they would then have to bow down before it. So indifference, fear, and pride prevent me to go after to check by myself. In some, faith appears to be inborn, appears only, a spark being enough to cause it to unfold. This ease of assimilation of spiritual truth is an evident sign of progress throughout many previous incarnations. So those that get to awake the faith is so easy. It's almost was there in the surface. It's because there is a previous experience that was there building up. Those that are far and stubborn doesn't get it, it's because it's not yet. Experiencing this current lifetime will build up, so the next incarnation will be easier to awake the faith when it's necessary. Jesus also said a lot about hypocrisy in faith. That hypocrisy was something that the only thing perhaps that got Jesus angry, if we would say that he could be angry. At least he demonstrated that he was so upset with the hypocrisy, especially hypocrisy from those that are supposed to know the law. They need to be there to enlighten, like the Pharisees, the teachers. Those, when they were hypocrites, that he could not stand, because that function there is to guide, to be the model. And if they are fake, hypocrite, is a horrible thing. So he says, woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites. You are like washed stones, which look beautiful on the outside, but on the inside are full of bones of the dead and everything unclean. In the same way, on the outside, you appear to people as righteous, but on the inside, you are full of hypocrisy and wickedness. So it is the worst situation when you are deceiving someone because you are taking advantage of the ignorance, of the weakness of the people that are coming to your church or to your temple, and you know, but you're trying to get, you have a second agenda behind. This is very serious. So for the Spiritism also, they call attention for that. Be careful with the mediumship. You are granted with this uh, mediumistic ability. Be careful not to use and spread wrong information, wrong teachings, saying, well, this is coming from a very high spirit, you know. So be careful. More you know, more is called for you to fulfill your job. So there is this passage that Jesus curses the fig tree. That is exactly this. The fig, this fig. Usually, it was the time in April, more or less. So it was not time for the fig tree to have all these leaves, like say here. But when the fig tree has the leaves, that means the fruit is ripe, has a ripe fruit. So Jesus, if the tree has all these leaves but doesn't have the fig, the fruit, that means it represents a misleading, a hypocrite. So he's trying to make the parallel of this fig tree, trying to show something that is not true. So he says the next day. So what happened the day before? Let's see what happened the day before to see why he wants to teach this, say this to the disciples. Because he says the next day, as they were leaving Bethany, Bethany is very close to Jerusalem, was in the morning, Jesus was hungry. Well, seeing in the distance a fig tree in leaf, he went to find out if it had any fruit. So he saw, has a leaf, has a fruit. I can eat the fruit. When he reached it, he found nothing but leaves because it was not the season for figs. That was not the problem. The problem is why so you have the leaves when it was not time for you to show off your leaves. So you want, that was the hypocritical thing. When, then he said to the tree, may no one ever eat fruit from you again. And his disciples heard him say this. So no one would eat. But the problem is that the following morning, the fig tree was withered from the roots. So Peter said, oh, Rabbi, the tree that you cursed yesterday has withered. So we have to understand that Jesus didn't want, it's a lesson. So let's see what he wants his disciples to learn from this parallel that he wants to do. So the day before, he went to this temple, and this temple was a mess. Instead of being a place of worship, clean, no materialistic exchange and commerce, all the things, he finds all this mess. Cows, sheep, all the goats, and the changing money, and all these things. So he went there, and what he said, when it was almost time for Jewish Passover, so everybody was from different parts of the region to Jerusalem because of the Passover. Jesus went to the Jerusalem. In the temple courts, he found people selling cattle, sheep, doves, and others sitting at tables exchanging money. So he made a whip out of cords and drove all from the temple courts. Temple courts, both sheep and cattle. He scattered the coins of the money exchangers and overturned their tables. Look, he overturned the table. To those who sold doves, he said, "Get this out of here. Stop turning my father's house into a market." So he said this, but he did not say anything to the disciples. So what he wanted the next day the disciples to learn from this incident that appeared to the disciples that he was so aggressive. He wants to say the Pharisees, the doctors of the temple, all these big authorities was how to say deviating the meaning or the place which was supposed to be a sacred worship place. It became a market. So those Pharisees and doctors of the lay, he's calling you not fulfilling your job. You are deceiving everybody here by teaching the wrong, by being hypocrite. So then he gives the example of this fig tree. So the doctors of the law and the Pharisees, they are close for the external. It seems authority, it seems okay, they have all the knowledge, but no, they don't. Because if they allow all this mess to happen there, they're not teaching what they were supposed to teach. It's all hypocrisy. That's why he compared to this tree that show off the leaves but didn't have the fruit. So the Pharisees showed the big clothes and title, but they don't have anything worthwhile to teach. Faith and work. Faith if it has no works, is dead in itself. James 2:17. So faith is not just lay there. No, you have to work. So in Spirit's book, Question 943, where does the discontent of life comes from, which without plausible reasons takes hold of certain individuals, so the suicidals, etc. Effect of idleness, lack of faith, and satiety. So if you don't have faith, any little thing, you want to take your life, you discontent, you want to end up your life. So faith and work, what a better example than Mother Teresa of Calcutta. Mother Teresa says, faith in action is love, and love in action is service. By transforming that faith into living acts of love, we put ourselves in contact with God Himself, with Jesus our Lord. So she is the example of how to put faith in action. So in this book, The Words of Eternal Life, Chico Xavier, chapter 5, he says, let us imagine that the world transformed into a vast temple, certainly respectable, but fully overcrowded with creatures in perennial worship of heaven, day and night. Inside, faith rhymes sublime, exquisite prayers, beautiful speeches, admirable speeches, praises, and songs. But outside, if you don't work, fields of helplessness, nobody taking care, holes abandoned, fireplaces in ashes. Noble knowledge requires noble activity. Spiritual elevation is also a duty to serve the Eternal Father in the person of the fellow man. I can only serve God if I serve my fellow man. God uses my hand, my intelligence, my whatever talent that is given to me in this incarnation, if I don't apply to 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 progress myself and also to make my fellow man's life easier, for what this talent? That's why faith and works are complemented in the system of our relations with life higher. So prayer has to go with work, shrine and workshop, culture and charity, ideal and fulfillment. Being only idealistic, you don't go, you don't apply, you don't test, you don't produce anything, nothing. For what? You keep sharpening your knife, but if you never use the knife, it goes away and you never produce anything. In that sense, Jesus is our indisputable example. So, the divine is always helping us some way or the other to awake our faith in many different ways. Either, by meeting something very beautiful, having this all sublime thinking, or pain, suffering, etc. So there are testimonies of survival, near-death experience, tragedies, illnesses, etc. Those are some of the way that divinity say, look, you cannot waste your incarnation. You came here to increase, to construct your faith and produce something. So I brought, there's so many stories. You all know a story, but I will bring this story of this Dr. Matthew Sleep. He was at the peak of his career. So a lot of materialistic success. An ER physician, a chief of staff of his hospital. He and his wife, Nancy, had all the things in life that were supposed to make you happy. Two adorable children, jobs they enjoyed, and a beautiful house in the coast of Maine. But they had no faith community. They didn't need to. So many people that have a wealthy life, they get distracted. No faith community and did not believe in God. For what? You don't need to. Everything is provided. You can keep sleeping that mode. Matthew believed in science and in what could be seen and measured. This is what scientists do. When a series of bad things happened in their life, in their family, the drowning of Nancy's brother in front of their kids, a disturbed patient stalking Matthew, and their son's best friend losing his dad in 9/11. Matthew woke up to the reality of evil. Even that, oh, evil is now. He never thought he had to learn something. This is evil. I have to do something to get rid of the evil. So his textbooks, scientific textbooks, of course, internal medicine, all these handbooks, didn't list evil in their table of contents. So he began looking for answers in other places. One slow Sunday morning in the ER, you don't have any big disaster, Matthew went out in the patient walking area to look for something to read. So he was already directed. He saw an orange book. It was a Bible. He had never read the Bible before and thought it might be interesting. So he stole it. In the Gospels, Matthew came face to face with Jesus. One by one, the family all read the Bible and became believers. So now his job is to go around. He's considered Christian ecologist. He's more attracted to see nature, how nature can compare to faith, how God can teach faith and other lessons through trees. So he says in the subtitle, what trees teach us about the nature of God and his love for us. So a few things that he say. This is another book too. He became, as I said, Christian ecologist, serving God, saving the planet. A call to care for creation and your soul. He says, what spiritual lessons can be learned from trees? So he searched the Bible. He says that many instances in the Bible appears trees. Like I said today, fig tree, the grape tree, all this. Because he says, what are the lessons? Seek the light. Unlike humans, trees always seek light. We too should live in the light of the world. John 1:4-5. Be watered by God's word. Trees need water, and we too need the water of God. Now we need also the real water because we made by more than 70% water and has to be a very well, good organized water in our organism, especially in the brain. God's word to sustain us. So we need the water of God's word to sustain. This is Psalm 1. Be fruitful. We have to produce, like the fruit tree. If it doesn't produce fruit, be withered. Jesus said to you, Jesus said, what you could know a tree by its fruits. Good tree, good fruit, good tree. Bad fruit, bad tree. For a Christian, this is the fruit of the Spirit. Love, joy, peace, long-suffering. Long-suffering means to be resignated, to accept. Gentleness, goodness, faith, and temperance. Galatians 5:22. So those are the fruit that Jesus said. If we don't have these fruits, for what we are this spirit? God populated the Bible with trees to teach us about time on a non-human scale. Some trees live for thousands of years. God wants us to make plans for the future based on long time scale, generations upon generations, incarnations after incarnations, and even eternity. So we are very impatient. We want everything to happen in our time scale, which is very short compared to eternity, right? Things sometimes doesn't happen in this incarnation, but is a building block we are constructing for the next incarnation for us to get it, to grab it. So even if all these things that we said up to now that we should, which is good, to have faith, to strengthen our faith, not to be deceived, let's him help. At least for this point of view, we may want to strengthen our faith, to have a reasonable, rational faith, to have a verified, unshakable faith. It's a relationship with health. There's tons of books. Those are some books that relate faith with health. The Biology of Belief, which talks about the epigenetics, healing beyond the body, God, faith, and health, medicine, religion, and health. The Beautiful Man. There's many books, many books. But I chose to say a little bit, but there's a lot of information about faith, religiosity, not going to church, religiosity, faith in longevity. Longevity means if I live longer, I am healthier longer. So, this blue zone centenarians, there are at least these four, one to five regions which has more higher population of people more than 100 years old. And they want to see why. What are those things that are doing that? So they make like this diagram: healthy social circle, diet, eat nuts, whole grain, culturally isolated, so they maintain that core. So it's nutrition, good thing, and also there is good habits, no smoking, family ties, community ties is very important. Of course, sunshine, gardening, etc. But faith is there. So let's see how faith plays a role to longevity, directly or indirectly. So faith is not only related to mental or social well-being by releasing hormones of contentment, of happiness, of satisfaction. So we have this oxytocin, endorphins, which is our endogenous morphine, which makes us feel good. And faith is behind this. Encourage healthy behavior. So this is an indirect thing. If I have faith, I quit smoke, I quit bad behavior, risky behavior, I start to be more involved in community, doing more volunteer. This all strengthens the faith. So indirectly and directly, there is a feedback of faith and good behavior, healthy behavior. It has an effect in our physical lives and longevity. So not only mental, social well-being, but physical. Decreases inflammation and boosts our immune system. We all know about this. So the cardiac problem, the circulation problem, it starts to be better treated because the inflammation gets lower. Among the Blue Zone centenarians, a common factor is trust in divine faith. 98% of the centenarians belong to some type of faith-based community and showed 4 to 14 years increase in their life expectancy. So that's a beautiful thing to do. If it's not, let's think, oh, I want to live better. So let's put some coins in constructing stronger faith. And of course, I should finalize with this beautiful picture of Chico Xavier. He was already old. He says, for the good days, gratitude. For the difficult days, faith. For the days of longing, time. For every day, courage. So thank you. Let's remind everybody that the tree of living faith does not grow in the heart miraculously. It's a construction. Thank you.
Thank you, Yasco, for this amazing explanation and reminder to all of us during this moment. I'll take Kirsten's words that it's such a good reminder, for us to have this talk on faith and all these examples, because we need, right, to solidify. We need to get stronger. We need to exercise our faith. One of the amazing reminders here that you bring is that it can be exemplified, but you cannot give it to me. I cannot give it to you. I cannot give it to other people. We have to exercise this, and then again, we are all in need of such a reminder, right? When Jesus always tells us to exercise this faith. So thank you for it. I would like to welcome everyone who has been following us, who is connected with us, and who will connect with us in the future too. It's important to always remind those who will be watching us in the future, because we need to watch this, and more and more, in order for us to be more faithful in whatever we're doing in our lives. And then we have some amazing questions here, comments and questions. Um, I would like to start with Kirsten when she says, I often wonder, Yasco, commerce and capitalism is such a big thing nowadays. Are we repeating the same old habits when we people mix religion and money? Or is Jesus wanting to say that we just need to keep our spiritual life holy and not degrading it? I believe this was right after when you brought the passage of Master Jesus,
The
the
temple.
temple, right? Yes. Go ahead.
Well, of course, we're not doing in that extent and intensity as the time of Jesus, that got degraded really, because the temple, because of the occupation by the Romans, all the commerce, and they wanted to take advantage of the authority. So the Pharisee, all these priests, they were not only religious authority, they were health control job authority. If you have some kind of skin problem, you have to pass through them to see if you. So sanitation, they have the sanitation authority job, and also they function as a bank too, exchange money. But that got corrupted throughout all this. I don't know since when. So Jesus, when came, it was in the height of how to say complacence, when it's allowed. Many things will start to keep allowed. Suddenly, everybody was doing everything, killing the sheep there, the goat, and the exchange, everything. So he wanted to put an end on that and awaken the people. Do you know what you're doing here? That's why this temple will be destroyed, because it's not fulfilling the real job, which is to enlighten people. And sure enough, he said in 3 days I could construct a new temple, which is the temple in the heart, like he did after the resurrection. So I think we can do the same. Go slowly. It's almost you're not sensing that suddenly in the spiritism, in this some kind of activity, big activity, suddenly money starts to run with different names. Suddenly, yesterday this could not be done, but today is another story. You find a lot of excuse, and you get corruption there, corrupted, and start to forget the real meaning of the Spirit Center. Why first of all, you have the Spirit Center there? For what? What kind of teaching you for there? Is this worthwhile to have all this money going if you're not teaching, if you're not relieving, giving relief to the ones that are suffering and knock your door there? What kind of teaching you giving? You're just talking. Yes, yesterday I did this, 2 months ago. You have to be aware. So Jesus came to shake. You know what you're doing? That's why when he did that at the moment, he didn't say anything to the disciple. He went to the Bethany. He went back to Bethany. Next day, he gave the lesson to compare because Peter was shocked. Oh, Jesus cursed that tree. Rabbi, you cursed, and now is uprooted, is withered. And then he wanted them to remember to make a parallel with the how the temple, people in the temple were misleading. The same way the fig tree misled him. He was hungry, he wanted the fig. And the leaves showed that, oh, yeah, it should be a fig because that was the nature. The same way, the temple is supposed, with all these priests, is supposed to be a place where I can find solace, I can see teachings and learn things for me to go to progress, and not. Then it's the exchange and the killing of the the animals there, all mess. So I think it's a beautiful lesson.
Thank you.
Reminder.
Yes, it is. For all of us to not mix things, as you said, right, and to see the true value of life. It's important to live in the world, but not be completely part of the world, or not really just be part of the world, right? We need all of these tools that we created, that our intelligence created, to help us. So thank you. Yes. Another question from Kirsten. Faith seems to be something that is forged on the battlefields of life. Can we increase our faith by any type of daily habits or prayer? Very nice.
Well, I have some, how to say, pause for prayers, because depends on the type of prayer. If it's this automatic prayer, like Buddhist said, well, don't, it's this wishful. No. What I am offering in the prayer to contribute for the better outcome that I am praying. So we have to be heartfelt and reasonable. You have to use the reason. What I have to do in order for this problem that I'm facing, I don't want the problem to go away. That's not the way we should pray. I want to get extra strength, extra wisdom. I want to understand, so internally, my inner self feel accepting, and because I now understand. I have to pass. Once I understand, it's like having an injection. If I know that, of course, it will pinch, it will be painful. But if I know it's just last that short of time, and the gain that I will have is bigger, the result, I will go through the problem. It's like this COVID. No, there are many things in this COVID pandemic that if we think carefully, is positive. If I start to revolt because I want that thing that I had before COVID, no, that's not the way. Please show me, open my wisdom in order for me to see what the goodness that I can get from this situation. That's what we have to ask. And the habit is always like this. If I have the habit to be upset, to be revolted, to be stubborn, better change this. It's not a good habit, because experience needs that I am adaptative. I can adapt and come out with a better solution. Not facing the same, doing the same thing, expect a different result. No, if I do the same thing, I will have the same result. I have to change. I have to go through different paths. But asking for wisdom, for understanding, so I can be more, how to say, fruitful. I can be more, I can understand better where the blockage or the stones are and deviate, you know. So that's how. And knowing ourselves, that's the most important thing. What are my habits? Those habits are good or bad? No, they're not. They're not. They were good. It's okay when there was no problem. But today, with this kind of problem that I have to stay home, I cannot have the same habits. Oh, I want to go to the shopping center. No, I can't. You know, so that kind of be flexible and be willing to accept and go forward and to progress. That is the habit that we have to change, but we have to know ourselves first.
Great comments, Yasco. Thank you. And I'll continue with Daniel when he asks, Kardec states about rational faith. What one can do to strengthen his or her faith through reason?
Well, that's what you say. If you don't understand the situation, you cannot have, you know, you have to. Why we enter in an aircraft? Because we understand how that aircraft, what kind of technology, how many study, how many calculate. That's how, and we saw also that many people entering that, it's like the call, the old mature call that went ahead because had the experience. Oh no, I took already many flights. Of course, sometimes it shakes, but it goes. So the other one that is the first time said, oh, if he is calm, probably he's right. How about the pilot? Oh, he's calm. Okay, you know. So I think is understanding, and once we understand, we have the faith. Faith, in some part in Kardec, faith is knowledge. You have to know. You have to know. So those that already, like you said, that suddenly little spark awakes the faith, is because it has previous, or in this incarnation, the previous incarnation, that is already built up in ourselves, in the conscience. But I am here to pass through my experience to build up this knowledge. So the next, I will be the old cow, mature one, and to guide the other ones that are come behind me, So is understanding the reason why I'm passing through this, what is the gain that I will have with this pandemic, with this lockdown at home, uh, all this understanding. Once I know how the virus, those that keep it stubborn, say I'm not gonna wear the mask, I'm not going, they will be in the opposite against the stream. So we have to knowledge. Is the knowledge, and then we strengthen this rational faith. Blind to somebody's opinion is terrible. I have to have my opinion, my experience. Let me bump my head, but I know there is a wall. Don't just say, "Well, there is." Don't even go there. No. I want to experience. This is experience. This is how faith is strengthened. I experience, but I have to be a good learner, okay? Good learner. Experience but stubborn, and that's it, you kill yourself before you learn. That is bad, you know. So,
Right.
so I think we have to be wise in this step by step.
Thank you. I wanted. I'm going to jump my question here that I have placed, and I wanted to bring, and I don't want you to lose focus on the question, but since you use the analogy of the airplane, right, that requires some reasoning based on what others are doing. Let's look what Paula has asked us. Does a reasoning approach to faith necessitate a certain intellectual level? Can an analytical framework be taught to discriminate truth from lies, and what might it be? And I love this question because it goes hand to hand to what you're saying here. And yes, I mean, there are still people out there who cannot fly. So where is this whole thing? But I definitely don't want you to lose focus on what she's asking.
Yeah, but those are the ones that have trauma. Okay, this is not considered in the group of the people that no. Those are few percentage that they have their issues that we should not put in the same category. I don't think so. Normally, no. Those that cannot enter in a closed in elevator, cannot go. There are other reasons behind that we cannot mix up here. So I think the intellectual analytical process is completely necessary. What it cannot be is just I want to analyze, but I want to analyze you and stop there. No, you have to analyze what was brought, but with your own experience. If it's just to speculate, I want to be oppositional, like the young kid will do. Oh, I don't trust it, but I want to see what you put in the place. Use your reason and put something in the place. Why you don't like that? You know, you don't need to, but you have to put something in place. So the intellectual analytical process is completely necessary, but you cannot over expand this part and don't go to the next step, which let me put now my experience. Let me put myself to see if this my analysis works for me, not the other one anymore. The other one already accepts the faith. For me, that I'm against or I'm not uh, believing so much, accepting. Now I have to go through my own experience, analyze myself, best of my intellectual ability, putting together also my emotional, all this background that only I know, do. But we cannot get lost in this web of rational thing, and not leading to any place. That's very dangerous, which is what they call this endless speculation, you know. But
Very
one said, but the other one said, but this but doesn't help. I have okay, but let me check with my own experience.
perfect. Thank you. I want to stay on this topic. Juliana Pacheco Duarte actually just sent another follow-up question on this matter that we're talking about here in terms of the rationale, right? And she says the following. Following up on Daniel's question on rational faith, we are far away from truly understanding God and the spiritual world. So, how can one have faith now when there is many more questions than answers?
Yeah, it's what this guy Matthew Steve Smith, he decided to if God is far, we can decide to follow Buddha, we decide to follow Jesus. But he decided as a Christian to see nature, trees, more specifically trees. So by analyzing, understanding God's creature, if that makes sense, if that has a reasonable process behind all these creatures, all this creation, then I don't know when, it can be way, way many incarnations, because I tell you, I don't know when we were able to know about God. It's almost impossible. But I can see how wonderful, how magnificent, maybe in my limited way, from his creation. So the trees, like Matthew says, can teach us a lot. Patience, faith, looking for the light, patient. The fruit won't appear in 100 years. It's like that fruit that it needs 100 years to appear the first set of the fruits. So who plants? Somebody said, why are you planting this avocado tree if you're not going to see the avocado? Well, but the avocado that I'm eating today is because someone had faith and planted for me to enjoy. So I think the nature help us all these virtues to accept the timing, to have patience, to trust that if I take care of the seed, take care of the weeds, it will grow. So if I take care of my vices, I will have my faith growing because I'm removing the obstacles.
Thank you, Yasco. I wanted to finalize here with these two questions. When I asked here, and we had a follow-up on to this question, I believe it would become a follow-up because it's tied together. In this world of trials and expiation, how can we use the turmoil of this planet to grow our faith and not feel discouraged? Can we forge our faith with our personal and collective difficulties? And then I want to bring what Iracema also asked. In this time of pandemic, the turmoil continues. Would it be due to the lack of faith in something bigger? So do you want me to put my first again, or you got it both?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I remember, but the trials and the expiation. Of course, we have here to experience. That's what Buddha also said. That's what Kardec said. We are here for the trials because of things that we said. Well, people that are planning my reincarnation, I guess now I learned. I know. So put me there in that situation and test me. I can almost tell you I'm gonna go. I won't fail. I will go. Expiation is another story. Of course, sometimes we have to go through because our debt is so big that we even ask to have this kind of thing. So this turmoil of the pandemic, especially this infectious virus disease that is pulmonary, goes through the air. This is a lesson. Those who follow the last Spiritist Medical Association Congress, I think it was, I don't know who said it was also devout, was the best opportunity that God gave us for us to think about in what route we were going in. If it was instead of this infection, if it was a nuclear war, there is no way for us to lock down safely at home. We will be dead or sick anywhere we would go. So that was a very mild warning. Look, I'm giving the opportunity for you to think about how you conduct in your life. This thing of materialistic thing, I want this, I want that, I want different colors of this, high heel things of this shape or not shape. It's really important, And what you're treating, how you're treating your kids, what you're doing, what you're fulfilling your kids with, material things. Are you paying attention to that? So now you're forced to be together. Of course, it's a big trauma to be suddenly together. But there is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful opportunity. I don't know if you learned, like Iracema said, I don't know if you learned, but it's an opportunity given to us. And those that took positively this trial, they are good. They are happy to be at home. They gain a lot. They were not spending money, certain things that they were supposed, there are, many dinners, people that went to many expensive dinners with the wines, everything. Now it's home, healthy food, etc. So if we still are in this turmoil, of course, if we go scientifically, Dr. Fauci, all these people would say, well, if everybody had used the mask as a mandate, etc., etc., if we knew how this virus came, etc., etc. But it's time of our incarnation, our progress. We live in a very heavy, dense populational cities. The communication within the city overseas that it didn't happen 100 years ago today happen. All these things that is part of the progress, but they say, now that you have this thing of crossing and communicate so quickly, how can you restrain your habit? What kind of patience, what kind of limitation you're willing to give yourself? And if you're still there, it's part of our learning, it's part of our development. So we don't learn all 100% at once. We don't. We thought we would go 2 months. Now it's 1 year. It may go another 6 months, another year, But came a lot of good things. Science worked beautifully with the vaccine. Of course, now you have a lot of people saying, oh, I'm not going to get the vaccine. Still, you have to work with kind of difficulties that you don't know from where it's coming, this distrust. We know many communities of poor people, why they don't trust the health institution, because they were abused. So it's time also now to them to regain the trust from those communities, the African Americans that were used many times as guinea pigs, in many trials, is for them also to now have to work to regain the trust. That's part of our evolution, progress, moral progress, to regain that trust. It's not, oh, you have to trust. No, you mistreat them. We mistreat them. So now we have to do our extra work. That's part of evolution, right?
Yes, I thank you, Yasco, for this amazing reminder once more. We all need this strong, let's say, foundation in our lives, and that's why we keep coming back right together to share these teachings, so we can solidify again our faith and to be more, to work more and to dedicate ourselves even more to help ourselves and to help one another. So thank you again. We hope everyone can receive these teachings in the heart and exercise them. You brought also several examples as well, and a lot of thank yous, a lot of good words as well of those who have shared this moment with us. So thanks for being here. I would like to conduct our final prayer then, so we can finalize this evening. Wishing everyone an amazing weekend and a week, so we can exercise this, because the trials will be there, the difficulties will be there. We just have to look for the good outcomes of our persistence, right? On this note, we would like to thank you, dear Lord, for this amazing moment that we had in our lives, these teachings, these reminders, one another, that despite not being able yet to be physically together, we are here sharing, studying, giving a little bit of ourselves to make this moment and these teachings more appealing to one another. We ask that during the difficult moments of our lives, we can still be courageous enough and have this strong faith that tomorrow will come and it will be better than today, and the following day, even better. Understanding the knowledge that we have can serve to a great purpose. Technology, most importantly, the examples that we have for one another, those whom have passed before us, that without the technology, all the good things that we have nowadays, they are faithful. They believed in themselves and in God. This way, we thank you for all that we have, all that we will have in our lives, all that we are, and all that we will be together. And so be it. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Still live, Daniel.